What if you could have all of your photographs taken from any camera, whether it's a DSLR, mirrorless, something that you've got in the palm of your hand, like your smartphone? What if you could have all of those photos on every device that you have and they could sync without having to use a third-party service? Is that something that you like? Well, there's a way to do it. It's a program called Mylio, and it'll work with all of your devices. It'll work with all of your smartphones, your tablets, and so forth. And you can have all of your photos everywhere and just carry them wherever you want to go. Today, we're going to take a look at Mylio. It is a unique software offering. It's not a cloud service, so it's not like you have to upload everything to the cloud and then be subject to whoever's scanning it. Everything that you have is on your own devices. But there's a unique way that this works to sync everything up, and I think you might be interested in this if you really like your photographs. Hi, my name is William Beem. I'm a photographer just like you, and possibly like you, I have tens of thousands of photographs. I've got so many photographs, I can't find them all where I want to find them. And I've tried other services, including Adobe's Creative Cloud with Lightroom and so forth, and I can sync some of my photos that way that it's practical, but everything has to go up to the cloud, and there's always that one photo in Lightroom that just does not want to finish syncing. And I don't know which photo it is because it seems to change from time to time. So I've never really had an opportunity to have all of my photos organized and carry with me that I could show something to somebody on my iPhone, my tablet, or maybe I'm working on my laptop instead of on my desktop computer, and I want to get to my photos. I thought, I've got to go to the office and get on the main computer to see the main photographs. That's the problem that Mylio solves for us. So I wanted to show you a couple things on their webpage, but mostly we want to take a tour of the interface and what Mylio is in the product itself. So if you stick with me, I'll show you what we've got. Okay, so this is on the Mylio website. And of course, you can see that they're advertising that your photos live here. You can better organize. But this is the part that I think really gets down to the core of it. It's the only photo manager where you can edit, organize, sync, and protect a lifetime of photos. And it keeps your files private on your own devices. You can use cloud services if that's where you want to store them, but Mylio is not a cloud service itself. You do not have to upload your photos to any cloud service. So, and that's the first thing they say here. It's not a cloud service. Everything is on your own devices. And depending on how many photos you have, maybe you need to get an external storage device. And I've got a couple of those. I've got a RAID system here from OWC, and I've also got a Synology disk station, a NAS, or network attached storage. And in some future videos, I'll show you how I'm going to be using that with Mylio. But it's not on the cloud. Your data is private. In other words, it's only on your devices unless you elect to upload it to someone else's cloud. So as I said, Mylio doesn't have a cloud service, but you can use Amazon. You can use, I think, Google's Drive and perhaps Dropbox. I have to check on all the different cloud services, but you can use things like that. I don't see something for iCloud on here yet, in case you're using that. But you can sync across different devices. So if you got Windows, it says Apple devices, that would be Mac OS and iOS, and Android, of course. And the nice part about it is your data, your original photos can live in a vault on a storage device that you want, but on your other devices, you'll have smaller versions of your photographs, so you don't have to take up a lot of storage on every device. And they're promising that this is nice and fast. I've got the demo stuff loaded so far. I haven't loaded my own because I want to save that for doing on another video. But this is something that's also very important. If you're going to have all of your photos on all of your devices, it needs to be fast. So let's go ahead and take a look inside of the user interface. Okay, this is what Mylio looks like. I'm on the dashboard. It starts off with a little getting started guide here. Now, when you want to, you can turn this off. But for right now, it's good to set things up so you can create your Mylio account. You can take a tour. I haven't gone through that yet. And you can add some files. The only files I've added so far that are showing checked off here is the demo data that's provided with Mylio. In other words, you can get used to working with Mylio before you start adding or importing your own photographs. So it will walk you through all these various steps that you need to take care of to get things set up. So for example, if we take the tour, you'll see these little pop-ups, and it will just kind of guide you through all of these little things to know what's what. So I'm not going to go through all of that. I'm going to close this down. If you want to configure your setup, you'll see that it's pointing you to where you can add devices. And I have one device added right now, which is I've got an M1 iMac that I'm using. So let's go back up, and you can click over here to add more devices. And if we did that, you notice that there's a number of different types of devices. So I've got an external drive. I have cloud services that I could add. This is a network attached storage, the NAS. So that's where I would add my Synology disk station. If I want to add a phone, it gives you a QR code so you can download the app and get everything synced up there. Let's go back. And if you've got another computer, so for example, I have a laptop, we can click that and it'll give you the information. You can send that over and then download what you need to. So there's a number of devices that you can add and you can sync things up. So let's take a look at the library stats. This is from the sample data. You can see that there are 11 different people tagged. So in other words, you can find your photos based upon people, places, types of files. So if I click on this, you'll see NEF, those are Nikon files, DNG, ORF, I think that's Olympus, Sony is ARW, there's CR2 for Canon. So there's a number of different files. HEIC is what Apple is using. And there's a couple of videos out here as well too. So you can find out what kind of cameras were taken. And there are some here that were unknown. Olympus, Sony, Apple, and you can tell they've used a number of devices. And this list of camera devices will continue to grow. And if you're using different cameras, you can check and see if it's recognizing your devices. But it seems that it's got the majority of things that we're looking for. So for example, I've got a GoPro. I might have some videos from that or even some stills. So that would be nice to be able to take in there. And this unknown make is kind of surprising. A Nikon D70, that's an old one, but it still recognized the name, even if it didn't recognize it as a Nikon. You may also want to look for your photos by lenses, so you can see which lenses are out here. And keywords you can look at. So there's photos taken in the Galapagos, Australia. There are photos of birds. There's dates. And if you had any recent media additions, which I don't, so you could find that way. So let's go over, starting at the top, and we'll click on all photos. And you can see that we've got a number here. There is a little slider in the lower corner over here, and that will change the size of the grid that you're looking at. So you can look at them like almost full size, but you can decide what size you want to look at the grid pane over here. And if you clip this, there's a little clipboard down here. You can drag items over here and then drag them to your folder. So in other words, you've got a space. So like if I wanted to take a photo of this leaf, I can drag it down here to the clipboard. And then later on, I can use that clipboard to add this to something else. And you'll notice there are some things up here. You'll see a tag, which tells you that there is a keyword associated with it. And then this is the indicator for geotagging. So in other words, it'll show up on a map. You can also organize things by date and by calendar. It will actually sync up with your calendar service. You can look at things based upon a map. So you can see that these photos have been taken all over the place. You can look at them by people. So we've got some here that are untagged, and then you've got some over here where they've already identified who these people are. You can use albums, you can use folders, and we can go right back to the dashboard. So let's go ahead and we're going to skip over this part right now. I want to come over here to the top, and you'll see this little plus sign where it says Add Media. And then that gives you an option. Are you going to add media from the device that you're on, from an online service? So for example, Facebook, Flickr, Google Photos, you can go out there and get things that you've uploaded and stored online, and maybe you don't have them locally anymore. Or do you want to get them from the Photos app on, and since I'm on a Mac, it recognizes that. So from Mac OS, iPhoto, or even my old Aperture libraries, it can still import those. If you have any notifications, they will show up here under this bell. And it's just kind of telling you are there any errors, are there system warnings, and just little events that have happened. This next icon shows activities. I don't have any right now to show you. And then here are your devices. So as we mentioned before, I've got this device, and if I click on it, it'll give me more information about that. So it'll tell me when it was added, the version, the library size on the disk, device quality. So in other words, do I have a vault here? A vault is a place where you store your photos. And typically I've got, since this is a small, 8 gig, almost 9 gig, I don't mind having a vault on this computer, but I don't want to have all my photos here because this has a 1 terabyte drive on this Mac, but I've got 3 terabytes worth of photos in RAW files, and I don't want to lose that, and it's not going to fit here. So this is a case where I would want to create a vault that would go on my Synology disk station because I've got 24 terabytes of storage over there, so I've got plenty of room. And not everybody's going to have that many photos or photos library of that size, but you can have multiple vaults. You don't have to have just one. And ideally, if you want to have vaults on different devices, that gives you a level of protection. In case one device fails, you still have all your photos located on another device in a different vault. And then you can have some that are auto-optimized, and you can keep documents smaller than a certain size or keep videos smaller than a certain size. And then you can decide what works for you. What quality do you want? So I've got 5 folders linked. You can see what my storage info looks like right over here and how much is used and how much space do I have. And you can see, this shows me with this little lines, how much room I have for Mylio to grow. And as I said, since this is the drive that's on my computer, I'm not going to keep Mylio here, even though this sample library is not taking up much space. What I'm going to do is put the vault on for my photos on a different drive. This safe delete also, let me click on this. It means that sometimes you click a button and you say, oh no, I wish I hadn't done that. Keep this on, and this will make it easy so you can restore files that were deleted if you didn't really mean to do that. So there's a little way to protect you so you don't accidentally cause yourself problems. So let's go back over here. And let's take a look at our library stats. So this is kind of the same as we saw up at the top here, but I have people. You can see who's tagged, and then I can click over here and see that I've got 206 people that are untagged. And that means that I can go in there and find their faces. You can automatically identify people, tag them, and then it's kind of like some other software where as it recognizes faces that are familiar, it'll add them automatically over here. Places, you're going to need some geo data, geotagging data, and then, of course, you can see your file types and cameras, so you can find things based upon a lot of criteria. If you need help, just click over here, and this is where you can remove the sample library if you want to. And later on, I'll do that because I don't want to keep that forever, but right now it's pretty good. This will take you to the online documentation, the Mylio website, and let you know what's new in Mylio. So over here on this side, we can bring this menu out, and this is going to give you information based upon something that you've identified. So let's go take a look at all photos, and let's say that we want to know about this photo. So this photo, we can come over and take a look, and you can see the info, which camera, which lens, the resolution size, ISO, and so forth. And you can see when it was created, and file name and categories, keywords, all that stuff that goes with it. You can see if there were any faces, you'd be able to identify them there. And then places, you can see where this was taken. But there's a little bit more to it than just that. If we come over here, we'll see where our map is. And then we can see where edit is. So you can notice that there are a lot of little notifications that pop up that tell you if you want to reset edits, how to do that. So these are filters that you can automatically apply if you want to do that. But you can also click here where it says edit photo, and then you're given a pretty much common look of tools. So, and then you can do some editing here, but you're going to see that I'm going to get an error message. So if I try to change the temperature, it says the photo's original isn't available on this device. So if you want to edit using these tools, then you're going to need to have that done on the device with the original. And as I try, let's say shadows, I'm getting the same error message. So all of these tools down here are going to want to see where the original is. Now we can click on sync, and you can see what devices this is on. Of course, I've only got the one device here. And if there was any activity, so for example, if I was editing this or making some changes, that is what I suspect will show up here inside of the library or on the activity part. And then if we click on this gear icon, we can see a device list. We can see which devices are online. And we can change our sync settings over here. So you can see that you can configure Mylio to work as you want. So you can sync these things on demand or allow Mylio to sync between your devices automatically. Can you sync over IP version 6? Why not? Can you sync with cloud services? Sure. And you can set your policy. So what do you want to sync? Do you want to sync the vault? Do you want to optimize or just have thumbnails available? And then you've got this device is backed up regularly. So you count this device as 2 devices and stop protect notifications. In other words, I've got a backup service over here. So if I turn this on, I don't get warnings that say, hey, you haven't synced this with anything else. So your data is potentially vulnerable because it's not on more than one location. So you can choose that as well. So let's go back to our dashboard. And I hope this is helpful for you. You can see that you can quickly and easily get to a number of things. If you want to add files, devices, or tag faces, let's do this. We've got a number of people over here. Let's take a look. If we choose something, do we get somebody? And we're looking at everybody as Colleen over here. If we look at Madeline, and basically you can see that it's identified these faces, and you want to choose who is this person. So let's close this down. We'll go back to our dashboard. And here's an option to find duplicates. There are none here, but occasionally you might end up with photos that are repeated. It's taking up space that you don't need to waste. So this is a quick and easy way to find duplicate photos and then get rid of the ones that you don't want. If I come over here and look at all photos again, let's go back to filtering, and we'll scroll over and just pick a different kind of camera. And let's try this one. So we've got 2 that we're taking with kind of like a camera. So that's how you can do some filtering. And then you can do other things. You can take a look where it was on a calendar. If it was on a map, you can see that this was taken in Toronto. So I really like what I'm seeing here to begin with. The fact that you can have all of your photos taken in here. You can organize them very easily. You can back them up with different vaults. You can share them with your different devices. So if you want it on, in my case, I have an iPhone and an iPad. I've got my desktop iMac here, and I've got a MacBook Pro. I can have all of my photos on all of my devices and be able to show them and share them with people at any time. So that's what I'm looking at Mylio. I'll be doing some more kind of deeper dives. Right now, this was kind of looking at the user interface, but I'm very pleased with what I see so far here, and I will be sharing some more. If you are interested in this, please go to williambeem.com/Mylio. That is an affiliate link, but it'll take you there. And there is a free trial that you can start off with, and that's limited to 3 computers and 5,000 photos. If you want to go for the premium version, that is $99.99 per year or $9.99 per month. And that basically takes off the limit. So you have unlimited computers and devices, you have unlimited photos. And remember, everything is on your devices. It is not being synced up to the cloud, being scanned, or being used to identify anything about you. It's all on your own computers, phones, iPads, tablets, and your own network in order to transfer things back and forth. So again, go to williambeem.com/Mylio. Oh, also, I wanted to tell you, if you're thinking ahead and say, what happens if I try this out and I don't like it? First, I think you get a 14-day trial of the upgraded, the premium version of it. So if you don't like it, then there's no problem. It's easy to get a refund. If you use this for a while and you decide you don't like it, well, if you've already gone beyond 5,000 photos, you've gone beyond 3 computers, you don't lose anything. Remember, all of your photos are on your devices, so it's not like anybody can cut you off. What will happen is you won't be able to add new computers. You won't be able to add more photos to your plan because, you stopped paying for the premium service. But everything that you uploaded, all the devices that you've installed are still there and still working. So what it does is says you can't add anything else if you no longer pay for the premium plan. That's the way I understand it, and I will look into that a little bit more as I get into some future videos. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with me here today. I hope you enjoyed this. I like Mylio. I like what I'm seeing about this. And I'm going to be setting up my own stuff, and I'll share that little journey with you in some future videos. And we'll do some deeper dives into some of the various features that we've got here. If you like this video, please go ahead, click the like button. That helps the channel grow. It tells the YouTube overlords that somebody's paying attention, and they'll share this with more people, and hopefully it'll help them understand more about their photography and some of the tools that we can use. Thanks very much. I will see you again in the next video.